This young man we found out in the community, ran into out in the community, doing the very work that we described from the time we got here. Serving children, serving families, serving the community. He has a giant personality and an even bigger voice. When we were sitting down having a conversation about how he came to this point, he had in fact shared how he was employed with Bojangles, actually, fast food chain, right? And how some of the elderly people actually wanted to push him out and send him to another store because he was too loud. We hear his voice sometimes before we see his face, but even more importantly, we feel his spirit before he turns the corner. He calls himself the neighborhood hope dealer. That's how he identifies himself. His goal in life was to make sure that through his service, he offered opportunities for children, more particularly for young black boys that did not have the opportunities, that might not have the opportunities that he had through mentors, through supporters in the community. He's been working in this field of service since he was 14 years old. And he stands on the words of his grandmother, who he always identifies first and foremost, right after God. His grandmother stopped her life to raise him so that he and his siblings could stay together. He's the eldest of several siblings and was always considered to be the man of the house. And when you sit down and have conversation with him, he always is not ashamed to say, I didn't have a father figure growing up, not immediately. He found that support, that nurturing through other black men in the community that he lived in. And so he's always kept that with him because he wanted to provide opportunity. This gentleman does not ask for anything in return. He never asked for anything in return. In fact, when he discovered that he could run an after-school program right there in his community or a community of need and actually be paid for it, he was shocked. He was like, wait a minute, I've been doing this all my life. You mean to tell me people will pay me for this? He keeps his head down and he grinds. Whenever I saw Mr. Albert Horn out in the community, he always had a whole bunch of children with him. I said, who is this guy with all these kids standing behind him all the time? But he was always out making sure that they had volunteer opportunities. Whenever he showed up with his van load of children, he would send them in and put them to work. Where do you need us? That's what he would say, but an even bigger voice. Mr. Horn is a humble spirit, a serving spirit. Just recently, his name kept coming across our boardroom table because by himself, with the support of his family and the children that he served, opened up a food pantry right there out of his after-school program in an area of need. An area that's considered to be a food desert in Mecklenburg County. An area that is considered to be a book desert in Mecklenburg County. An area of need. He didn't ask for permission. He simply identified a problem, came up with a solution, and started grinding. He values relationships because those relationships are what help him support his food pantry. So once a month, or every Thursday, actually, I think I got it wrong. Every Thursday, Mr. Horn opens up his doors, and to anybody who needs it, food, clothing, books, because he knows that as a board member of BCDI Charlotte, that we strongly support literacy in this county, books, diapers, anything that people need, connections, resources. He understands that you can't boil the ocean, you can't do it by yourself. So he values relationships, and he'll point people in the right direction. I am so honored. I call him an unsung hero. So honored to present this next Community Hero Award to Mr. Albert Horn.
Here, here. Good afternoon. Kind of lost for words a little bit.